وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد, all praise belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who has given us the opportunity to come to His house. We ask Allah to accept our ibadah and forgive our shortcomings. We ask Allah to grant us the khair of this day and protect us from all types of evil. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made for this believer a great way to be able to, when he is about to leave from this world, he is able to convey and at the same time receive any khair and good that can be possible for that individual at that time. From the etiquettes of a person being present at the time when someone is about to depart from this world, we talked about the talqeen of the kalima in yesterday's session. It is also recommended that a person talks and he says good things around a person who is about to leave from this world. That's very essential and important. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said that make sure you are saying good statements at the time when you are present next to an individual who is about to depart. فَإِنَّ الْمَلَائِكَةَ تُؤَمِّنُونَ عَلَى مَا قُلْتُمْ أو على ما قال. Indeed, the angels, they start to say Ameen on whatever you say. So the angels are present and they are also part of this situation where a person is about to depart from this world. And part of their duty is to say Ameen to whatever a person is saying. If a person is saying negative things, then those negative things are going to be acceptable for this individual. And if he's saying positive things, then those positive things will going to become acceptable. It is very essential that a person is very considerate and mindful during this time. Otherwise, he regrets for the rest of his life, because the way we treat others, that's how we will be treated eventually. Sometimes we do a behavior towards someone or we do something to someone and we move on in our lives, right? And then eventually, after many years, that action that we have done, it hunts us down. And it hunts us down at the time where we don't expect at all, and in a situation where we cannot escape from. So this is why a person needs to be always considered about his action, at what place, what type of behavior, what type of action he is doing. And then to look back into his action, that I behaved in this way at this point, and what can be done differently. And if it was done in the right way, then be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because there are so many people who do bad actions and they don't even think about they're doing something wrong. They have done wrong to someone or they behaved in the wrong way and they don't even think about they're doing something wrong. But at the time when we are present, or when someone is present at the time when someone is about to depart from this world, there are so many, cultural behavior that a person shows. Some people start crying loud, some people start saying things, oh, why did this happen, and this and that. These are all statements that we should refrain from, because they are going to eventually hurt us and hurt the one that we loved, right? And that's why Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam recommended that say good things, because the angels are there to say Ameen. Abu Salama radiallahu anhu is a companion of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. When he passed away, his wife Salama radiallahu anha, she came to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and in one narration the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam visited, and when he saw that Abu Salama's soul has departed from his body, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the first thing he did, he closed the eyes of Abu Salama radiallahu anhu, and on which the Prophet ﷺ said that the ruh of a person follows the eyes, they follow the ruh of a person. When the soul comes out, the angel is taking the soul out, the eyes is following that. And eventually, whichever direction that the eye is set to when a person passes away, that is this direction where the soul, where the angel has taken the soul from at the time of the death of this individual. And this is why his eyes is fixed on that location. So the Prophet ﷺ said, whenever you see a deceased, the first thing you do is you close his eyes. And then you cover him in any way possible so that if there is anything that is disturbing, is not exposed to all. Right? This is why it is also part of the recommendation to hide any faults that you see in a deceased, and it's not exposed, and not even to mention to someone. And then Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam made dua for Abu Salama radiyallahu, Allahumma ghfir lahu wa aqibhu aqibatan hasana. Oh Allah, forgive him and give him a good reckoning, a good and give the family member a good compensation for their loss. And Salama radiallahu anha, she says, I got a very good compensation, and that is that I was married to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right? After the death of Abu Salama radiallahu anhu, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was married. He married Salama, al-Mu'mineen, Salama radiallahu anha, and Salama radiallahu anha is one of the Kathratul Ruwat, one of the famous and narrators that have narrated a lot of the ahadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And in different narrations, there are different versions of the dua that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught Salama at that time, and she recited, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala compensated her with a best, exchange, and that was getting married to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Of course, losing someone is a loss, right? Which cannot be, the gap cannot be fulfilled. But there are some certain ways that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala compensates in this dunya, that somewhat Allah brings ease on that pain. Allah Azza wa Jal relieves from that pain. And there are certain, loss. There are certain loss that there is no way that can be compensated. For example, if a person loses his parents, right, mother or father or both, when they die, there is no compensation behind that, because that position cannot be filled by anyone else, right? If a person loses his spouse, there is a possibility that this person, it's not a thing that, loses spouse, you get some, no. It is to understand a way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala treats a believer. So if one is lost, Allah gives it in another way. Of course, it's not the same as the first one, but somehow brings an ease on the situation. But there are certain loss in life that there is nothing that can compensate, and one of them is the loss of parents, that when a person loses his parents, there is nothing that can bring that back, or no one that can take that place, right? No one can come and take that place that can be the means of ease on the situation. So this is why what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do at that time? How that person gets compensated of the loss that he has? Allah Azza wa Jal makes that situation for him as a source for him to be better in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, when one of you loses your parents, there are 3 ways that you can continue to serve them after they die. There are 3 ways that you can continue to serve them after they die. Number 1 is making dua for them. Number 2, visiting their friends and their family members. And number 3, giving charity and sadaqah on their behalf. These actions are something that are going to benefit them, and you will be able to fulfill their rights even after they have passed away. And this is something that a person should do as based on the recommendation of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we have to be very considerate, very mindful at the time when a person is present, when someone is about to pass away, or even when we go to visit someone who is, who has lost someone, and we are going to go and pay our condolences. We have to be very considerate. How do we pay our condolences, right? Some people say, oh, no, he was supposed to die anyway, or he was sick, so good thing he died. Or this person of mine died, so he had this situation. Our tongue and our statements can be very painful for certain people, especially those who are going through difficult times. So we have to be very considerate how we use them. If we are not using good words for others, then no one is going to use those good words for us. So if we want people to say things that we say to people, then we continue to say what we are saying. Otherwise, this thing is going to benefit us more than anything else when we are saying good words and exchanging good statements at the time when a person is departing from this world. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it easy for all, and we ask Allah to make us amongst the people who are following the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. Subhanallah wa bihamdi. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka